There was a village called UMUOKWU where King Okoro reigned with the guardians of his chief priest, UMUOKWU. The priest was renowned for his unwavering connection with the gods, interpreting their whispers and performing rituals to appease them. One day, a severe drought struck the land, withering crops and drying up the streams. The villagers, desperate for relief, begged King Okoro to consult with UMUOKWU on behalf of the gods. The priest retreated to the sacred grove, communed with spirits and receiving a vision. He emerged with a solemn expression, claiming that the gods demanded a grand sacrifice to restore the balance of nature. The king and his followers gathered at the town square where UMUOKWU led the procession to the outskirts of the village. With eyes closed and hands raised to the sky, he began to chant and dance, calling upon the gods to accept the offering. From the center of a gathering, a young maiden, Uloma, stepped forward, bearing a gleaming golden statue of the goddess of fertility. As the priest chanting reached a crescendo, Uloma approached the altar, her eyes fixed on the statue. With a stiff motion, UMUOKWU sliced the statue in two, and a brilliant flash of light illuminated the sky. The air was filled with the sweet scent of blooming flowers, and the drought-stricken land began to stir. The villagers rejoiced, convinced that the gods had accepted the sacrifice and would soon return the land to its former glory. In UMUOKWU, the villagers would often gossip about the UMUOKWU people, claiming they were too proud and arrogant to marry outside their community. The UMUOKWU people, on the other hand, believed the UMUOKWU villagers were too simple-minded and lacked the sophistication they had acquired from their extensive trade routes. This perceived superiority complex led to a long-standing feud between the two villages, making intermarriage a rare and almost unheard of occurrence. In the kingdom of UMUOKWU continued to rule with kindness and wisdom. He had 4 children, 3 beautiful daughters, and a brave and adventurous son, Kanayo. His queen was a kind and gentle soul loved by all. She had a close friend, Amarachi, who was like a sister to her. Amarachi's daughter, Uloma, was a bright and lively girl who attended the village secondary school. The king's palace was a bustling hub of activity with servants scurrying about, preparing meals and attending to the needs of the royal family. Queen, the king's wife, was especially fond of Uloma, who reminded her of her own childhood. One day, while the queen mother was busy supervising the daily chores, Amarachi came to visit with a special request. She had heard of a prestigious scholarship program in Owerri City and wanted the king's wife, the queen, to sponsor Uloma's application. The queen was hesitant at first, but Amarachi's words struck a chord. She knew that education was key to a brighter future for her children, and Uloma was indeed a bright and curious young mind. With a nod, Lolo Igwe agreed to support Uloma's application, and soon The young girl was on her way to the capital to pursue her dreams. She was with Tochi. Meanwhile, the king's only son was sent to school abroad, even as his 3 sisters, school in the country. As it was the culture of the people, the chief priest would choose a wife for the heir apparent on a grand maiden choosing ceremony. On the day of the announcement approached, the entire village was abuzed with excitement and anticipation. The maidens of the village had been briefed by their parents on the significance of the ceremony and the importance of making a good impression. They had spent hours preparing meticulously, braiding their hair and adorning themselves with traditional beads and garlands. On the day of the ceremony, the village square was filled to the capacity with villagers, all gathered to await the chief priest's announcement. The king's son, now a young man, would stand proudly at the center of the square, his eyes scanning the crowd as if searching for a glimpse of his future wife. The air was thick with tension as the villagers murmured among themselves, speculating about who would be chosen. Suddenly, the chief priest, a wise and aged man, stepped forward, his eyes gleaming with authority. He raised his hands to the sky, and the crowd felt silent. "Let the selection begin," he declared, his voice echoing through the square. Some maidens stood tall, their hearts pounding in unison. They had always been close, but now they found themselves competing for the same prize. The chief priest began to make his way around the square, his eyes scanning the crowd, before finally stopping at a particular maiden's side. That was how the selection process goes for all kings. Uloma and Tochi graduated secondary school with flying colors and were admitted into Imo State University. Tochi to study accounting and Uloma was to study economics and statistics. As they settled into university life, Tochi and Uloma remained inseparable. They would often study together, share notes, and encourage each other to excel in their respective courses. During their first year, they joined the university's debate society and would participate in various competitions together. Their strong communication skills and quick thinking earned them a spot in the top 3 themes. In their second year, they started to explore their interests outside of academics. Tochi developed a passion for photography, while Uloma discovered a talent for singing. They would often take photos of each other, with Tochi capturing Uloma's soulful voice and Uloma recording Tochi's photography skills with their singing. Their friends would often joke that Tochi's photos made Uloma's music sound even more beautiful. As they entered their 3rd year, Tochi and Uloma started to think about their future. They had always talked about starting their own business together, but they didn't know what kind of businesses. One day, while browsing through a magazine, Tochi stumbled upon an article about social entrepreneurship. An idea sparked. She shared with Uloma and they started brainstorming. Their idea was to create an online platform that would connect small businesses in Imo State with potential customers. They would use Tochi's photography skills to showcase the product and Uloma's statistics background to analyze market trends. As the years passed, the other king's daughters who had graduated from university before Tochi and Uloma had married started their own families. Tochi, who was studying accounting, was particularly excited as she prepared to start up a fashion boutique. She had always been passionate about design and was confident her venture would be a success. Uloma, on the other hand, was struggling to decide on another area of interest. She had always been interested in numbers, but her grades were mediocre, and she worried her parents would be disappointed if she didn't excel. She confided in her friends, who encouraged her to pursue her passion, even if it wasn't the most traditional path. Tochi's words of wisdom resonated with Uloma, and she finally decided to continue in economics and statistics. She threw herself into her studies, and her grades began to improve. As they entered their final year, they were excited to start planning their futures. Tochi was finalizing her business plan and was set to launch her boutique in the summer. Uloma was building an app to help petty traders keep track of their money. Their parents beamed with pride as they watched their daughters thrive. They knew that Tochi and Uloma still had a year of school ahead of them, but they were confident that their daughters would make a difference in the world. As the king's benevolence spread throughout the village, Uloma's parents, who had been struggling to make ends meet, began to see a glimmer of hope. The king's efforts to improve the village's infrastructure and economy had created new job opportunities, and Uloma's father was able to secure a steady income as a carpenter to add to his hunting profession. Her mother, who had been struggling to find work, was hired as a nanny at the new school the king had built, where she was able to share her love with the younger generation. With their improved financial situation, Uloma's parents were able to provide a better life for their children, including Uloma, who was now able to focus on improving her studies and perfecting her side hustle. The king's effort had not only improved the village's economy, but also brought the community together, fostering a sense of unity and belonging among its residents. As the villagers celebrated their good fortune, the king continued to rule with wisdom and compassion, always putting the needs of his people first. He worked tirelessly to ensure that every citizen had access to health care, clean water, and nutritious food, and his efforts did not go unnoticed. One day, the king received a visit from a delegation of nobles from a neighboring kingdom, who were impressed by the prosperity and harmony of the village. They sought the king's counsel on how to improve their own kingdom, and the king, pleased to share his wisdom, offered to send a team of advisors to help them implement similar reforms. With the kingdom's reputation as a beacon of peace and prosperity spreading far and wide, Uloma's parents looked on with pride, knowing that their daughter would grow up in a world where happiness and well-being were within reach for all. Kanayo, the king's only son, stepped off the plane in Abuja, feeling proud of the man he had become. After years of study abroad, he had returned to Nigeria, eager to put his skills to use. His pharmaceutical company, Kanayo, was thriving in Abuja, and his electrical supply firm, Powertech, was doing equally well in Owerri. He had high hopes for the future, but little did he know that his father, the king, had other plans for him. As he settled into his new apartment in Abuja, Kanayo received a surprise visit from his father's advisors, who informed him that the king had summoned him to the palace. Kanayo's heart raced as he made his way to the palace, wondering what his father wanted. Upon arrival, he was ushered into the throne room where his father sat, a stern expression on his face. "My son, I have called you here today to discuss your future," the king said, his voice firm but kind. "As you know, I have been seeking a worthy successor to inherit the throne, and I have decided that you, Kanayo, are the one." Kanayo's jaw dropped in shock. "Me, sir? But I am a businessman, not a politician," he protested. The king's expression turned stern. "I know your accomplishments in the business world, son, but the throne requires more than just wealth and success. It requires leadership, wisdom, and the ability to connect with our people, and I believe you possess these qualities." Kanayo was torn. Part of him was flattered by the offer, but another part of him was hesitant to give up his life as a successful entrepreneur. He knew that becoming the king would mean putting his business empire on hold, at least temporarily. But he also knew that this was an opportunity of a lifetime. Prince Kanayo, heir to the throne, stood at the edge of the village, gazing out at the bustling streets. He had just returned from his years of education abroad, and the thought of marrying a maiden from his own community made him anxious. The tradition was clear. The prince must marry within the village to secure the kingdom's future. But Kanayo didn't know any of the young women here. They were all familiar faces, yet strangers to him. As he walked through the village, people whispered and nodded in his direction, their eyes filled with expectation. Kanayo felt like an outsider, struggling to find his place. His thoughts were interrupted by his trusted advisor, Chief UMUOKWU, who approached him with a gentle smile. "Your Highness, the time has come to choose a bride. The villagers are eager to meet the young ladies from each family, and you must make your decision soon." Kanayo sighed, feeling the weight of tradition bearing down on him. "I do not know any of them, Chief UMUOKWU. I have been away for so long, and I fear I do not know their hearts or their characters." Chief UMUOKWU nodded sympathetically. "I understand your concerns, Your Highness, but perhaps a visit to the village fair tomorrow will help you get to know the maidens better. It will be a chance for you to see them in their natural surroundings and for them to get to know you." Kanayo hesitated, then nodded. "Very well, Chief UMUOKWU. I will attend the fair, but I fear I may still be uncertain. Is there no other way?" The chief's expression turned thoughtful. "There is one option, Your Highness. The village's most skilled matchmaker, Mama Uloma, has a daughter who is not part of any of the prominent families. She is kind and intelligent, and Mama Uloma believes she would make a fine queen. Would you like to meet her?" They smiled and thanked the chief for his concern. He walked away knowing he needed more. As Prince Kanayo arrived in Owerri, he was greeted by the warm sun and sounds of Igbo music floating through the air. He headed to his electrical firm, eager to check on the progress of the projects he had left in the hands of his team. After a quick meeting with his foreman, he was satisfied with the work and decided to head to his cousin Mike's place for the birthday party. As he arrived, he was greeted by the sounds of laughter and music. Mike, his host, warmly welcomed him and introduced him to his sister Chioma, who was chanting with their friends Uloma and Tochi. As Prince Kanayo joined the group, Chioma's eyes lit up with excitement. "Ah, Prince Kanayo, I'm so glad you could make it," she said, giving him a warm hug. Uloma and Tochi, who were busy sipping their drinks, turned to greet him with big smiles. Mike, beaming with pride, handed Prince Kanayo a cold drink and led him to the food table. The aroma of jollof rice and suya wafted through the air, making Prince Kanayo's stomach grow with hunger. As they took their seats, Mike's wife, Norma, brought out a beautifully decorated cake, and the group raised their glasses in a toast to Mike's birthday. As the party continued, Prince Kanayo's eyes locked onto Uloma's radiant smile across the crowded room. He was immediately smitten. As he made his way through the throng of guests, Kanayo's heart raced with excitement. He reached Uloma's side and introduced himself, his voice low and charming. Uloma's eyes sparkled with amusement as she accepted his offer of a glass of champagne. As they sipped their drinks, they discovered a shared love for art and music. The night wore on and Kanayo found himself lost in Uloma's captivating conversation. Before he knew it, the party was winding down and the guests were departing. Kanayo, not wanting the night to end, asked Uloma if she could like to grab a nightcap at the palace cafe. Uloma agreed, and they strolled out of the grand ballroom. The cool night air, a welcomed respite from the stuffy formalities. As they sat on a secluded bench, Kanayo reached into his pocket and pulled out his phone. "May I?" he asked, his eyes never leaving Uloma. She nodded, and he programmed her number into his contact list. "I would like to see you again," he said, his voice low and sincere. Uloma's cheeks flushed, but she smiled. "I would like that," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. Kanayo's heart skipped a beat as he handed her the phone, his fingers brushing against hers. They exchanged a brief, electric glance before parting ways, the promise of a new connection hanging in the air. Kanayo was friendly with both Uloma and Tochi, but prioritized calling Tochi more often to avoid raising suspicion with Uloma. As Kanayo continued to frequent Tochi, he would often meet her at the same spot, exchanging whispers and glancing, while Uloma remained oblivious to their growing closeness. He wanted to make it look like he was more into Tochi. The king and his queen summoned the chief priest, Okoro, to the palace. Okoro, a wise and respected elder, listened attentively as the king and the queen announced Kanayo's intention to settle down. Okoro's wise eyes twinkled with excitement as he nodded his head in approval. The young prince has finally come to his senses, he said with a warm smile. I will swear rightfully inform the chief priest so that the traditional expectations will be met by the first of all, consulting the gods of our ancestors. The chief priest summoned the village's most skilled astrologers and diviners to the sacred grove. They gathered around the sacred grove, where explained the task at hand. The astrologers and diviners nodded solemnly, their eyes gleaming with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. They began to rummage through their ancient texts and scrolls, searching for omens and portents that will reveal the identity of the prince's future wife. The chief priest closed his eyes, mind focused, and whispered an incantation. The air was heavy with the scent of burning incense as he called upon the ancient gods to grant him a vision. The flames on the altar danced higher, casting flickering shadows on the stone walls. The priest's eyes snapped open and his gaze was fixed on a point beyond the trees. A whispered truth echoed in his mind. The prince's wife-to-be is none other than the daughter of the moon, born of the night's dark magic. He knew that his magic potion and ancient enchantment will never fail him. Amarachi's eyes widened with excitement as he asked, "Who is this lucky star? Tell me, is it that fair-skinned girl, Uloma? I heard she's a beauty, but her family is too proud and demanding. Or is it that quiet and reserved one, Chidimma? She's a sweet girl, but her father is a stubborn man. Tell me, who is this?" The king's wife just smiled mischievously, her eyes twinkling with amusement. "Let's just say it's someone who is not from around here. Someone special." Amarachi's eyes sparkled with intrigue. "Oh, so it's someone from outside our village, Abi? Someone who has captured your son's heart. Tell me, what is her name? Is she rich? Is she beautiful? Is she from a good family?" The king's wife chuckled, enjoying the grammar. "She's smart, kind, and beautiful. She's not from around here. Her family is different." Amarachi's eyes narrowed. "Different? What do you mean by different? Are they from a rival village or something?" The king's wife, the queen's smile grew wider. "No, nothing like that. They are just not from around here. That's all I can say for now." Amarachi's curiosity was piqued, and she knew she would have to get more information out of her friend. She leaned in, a conspiratorial look on her face. "I would like to get to the bottom of this, my queen. You can count on me." "The truth is," the queen continued, "Kanayo just informed us of his desire to settle down, and we are waiting for the chief priest to come up with the decision of the gods on the matter. So, my dear friend, we all keep our fingers crossed." Amarachi breathed a sign of relief. "I know that it can never be outside this village. So let's all wait for the lucky maiden." A silence hovered over them. Unknown to them, Uloma was on her way to the village from school. She wanted to come and spend some time with her family. Uloma sat in the living room, fidgeting with her hands as she recounted her meeting with Kanayo to her mother, Amarachi. "I am telling you, Mama, I've never felt this way about anyone before. Kanayo is special. I know he's from a royal family and all, but I don't care. I'm in love with him," Uloma said, her voice filled with conviction. Amarachi listened intently, her expression unreadable. "I know you think you are in love, But Uloma, you are not thinking about the consequences. The only obstacle to your marrying Kanayo is the chief priest, Chief UMUOKWU. He's been opposed to the idea of a commoner marrying into the royal family for years, Amarachi said, her voice firm but gentle. Uloma's face fell, but she refused to give up. What can we do, Mama? I won't lose him to anyone else. I will do whatever it takes to be with him. Amarachi's expression softened, and she reached out to take Uloma's hands. I will do whatever it takes, sweetie. I will talk to Chi. I will plead with him. I will do whatever it takes to make this happen. You are my daughter, and I want to see you happy. Amarachi arrived at the chief priest's hut, her heart racing with anticipation. She had heard whispers of the upcoming ceremony to choose the maiden who would become the wife of Prince Kanayo. As a close friend of Queen, the king's wife, Amarachi hoped her daughter, Uloma, would be the chosen one. She entered the hut, bowing respectfully before the chief priest. Ah, Amarachi, daughter of the land, the chief priest said, his eyes twinkling with wisdom. I sense your eagerness. But remember, the gods' decisions are not swayed by mortal connections. Amarachi's face fell, but she nodded, understanding the chief priest's words. She had heard stories of the gods' mysterious ways. The chief priest raised his hands, and a soft golden light enveloped the room. The air was filled with the sweet scent of incense, and Amarachi felt a strange energy coursing through her veins. Suddenly, a vision appeared before her, a glimpse of a young woman with a gentle smile and a sparkling eyes, her hair adorned with a delicate crown of flowers. The vision vanished as quickly as it appeared, leaving Amarachi stunned. Who is she? Amarachi asked, her voice barely above a whisper.